Back a little bit.
It's time to recognize that what we've been seeking for over 40 years is beginning to happen. This is really a very remarkable development. When we came into office, we gave speeches about renunciation of the Brezhnev Doctrine. Basically, the Brezhnev Doctrine has been renounced by the Soviet Union. We gave speeches about bringing down the Berlin Wall. And the wall isn't down, but as you just very aptly pointed out, it certainly has been breached. And symbolically, one could say that the wall is down. So these are dramatic developments that we should welcome, and we do welcome.
Mr. Secretary, I thank you. Kind of you to take the time.
Thank you, Ted.
And when we come back, we'll go to Moscow to get the Soviet point of view from a columnist and television host, Vitaly Kobish.
900 criminals let out of Florida's prisons every week just to make room for the new ones. They call it legalized escape. Watch 2020 Friday.
It's Good Morning America live from Bermuda. Tomorrow, exploring the mysteries beneath the sea.
And joining us back home, Farrah Fawcett, here on Good Morning America tomorrow.
Vitaly Kobish is a columnist for the Soviet government newspaper Izvestia and host of the Soviet television program International Panorama. He joins us now live from Moscow. Interpret some of your government's actions for us a little bit, Vitaly, would you? When Gennady Gerasimov said earlier today, we don't mind, you know, a multi-party government in East Germany as long as East Germany stays within the Warsaw Pact. What does that mean?
It means that the German Democratic Republic is a sovereign state, and they are doing their job, and it is their job. And if they want to live with a multi-party system, it's their business, and we welcome it.
But is it their business if they want to reunify with West Germany? Can they do that?
To unite?
Yes.
Ted, tell me, would you like the Germany be united? But frankly.
I'll tell you what, when I come on your program, I'll answer your questions. Now you're on my program.
Okay.
You answer mine, all right? How does the Soviet Union
I am
feel about
answering your question, asking you. It's a very special question. Some people are talking too much about the unification of Germany, but they are afraid of it. One French statement says that 2 Germany is all right, 3 would be better. And at least in West Europe, everybody are terrified even thinking about the united Germany. As to me, I am not. And I think one day it will be united, but today the conditions probably are not so good for that. And it's a problem of a future. And today, if they want to be united, it's all right. But I'm not sure that even in West Germany, the leadership and the people is prepared for that.
Yeah, I think you may have been talking about Francois Mauriac, who also said, I love Germany so much, I'd like there to be 2 of them.
Yes, and not only 2 of them, but to be in peace and in cooperation, and it will be the best way for the unification. The same is happening in other places. I just came from the Far East. I've been in South Korea and other places, Japan, China, North Korea, and so on. They have the same problem of unification of Korea. But it's not the point of today's agenda, but it's of tomorrow's and day after tomorrow, probably.
Vitaly, show me a little of that new Soviet journalism. Do you know what it was that Gorbachev said to the new German leader when he went to Egon Krenz, when he came to visit your president in Moscow a few weeks ago? What did he say to him?
He didn't tell me anything about that. I mean, Mr. Gorbachev, but as an analyst who worked with him for some years in the Central Committee, I can imagine how it was. he was mostly informing the German democratic leadership about what is happening in the Soviet Union. Many people didn't have exact information. They thought that it's something terrible is happening, everything is being destroyed and so on. And he explained that we are just making perestroika. We want to live in the state of law. We want to give the higher standard of living to our people. We want to make socialism with a human face.
And having heard that explanation, old Krenz went back to East Berlin and East Germany and said, that's it, we're giving up, right?
I think he deeply impressed by his explanation the leadership of German Democratic Republic. And as soon as the changes there were inevitable and it was ripe already, the country for the changes, it played, it was effective.
Vitaly Kobesh, this is an outrageous time of the morning in Moscow to get you up, and it was very kind of you to come and join us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
When we come back, we'll look at how East Germany became, in essence, a prison camp for so many of its citizens, and we'll talk with Walt Rostow, a former national security aide to John F. Kennedy at the time that the Berlin Wall was built. Part of Germany was a very pleasant place to be in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War. Still, it wasn't very long before the differences between life in the communist East and the democratic West became simply overwhelming. Nightline's James Walker takes us back.
Now, at last, after all the ghastly years of toil, blood, tears, and sweat, the climax of total German defeat is reached with the death of Berlin. After the destruction of Berlin and the end of World War II, it was agreed between the victorious powers that the German capital should be divided into zones for the purpose of occupation by Britain, America, France, and Russia.
Indeed, the Allies divided the entire German nation into 4 sectors. Uli Heinemann Rufer was a 20-year-old ex-German soldier when he returned in 1945 to his home in Berlin, the city once the largest in Europe.
The buildings had disappeared. There were ruins all over the place. The subway didn't work. Nothing worked. And we had no automobiles. And we had those Allies hanging around who partly helped us to survive, you know, by presenting food and things like that.
In the eastern sector of Germany, there was economic stagnation and famine. No Marshall Plan as the U.S. had mounted to help the western sector rebuild. The U.S. and its allies sent truck convoys and trains filled with food and fuel into Berlin, located inside East Germany. But in 1948, when the Western Allies set the stage for a federal German government, the Soviets responded by cutting off access to the city. The U.S. answered with the Berlin airlift, a desperate attempt to keep the city alive.
For 20 months, from April 1948 to September 1949, more than 2 million tons of supplies were airlifted into West Berlin.
All those kids ran out to Tempelhof, and everybody was very happy, and we were not scared anymore. We thought, really, we were afraid we would starve to death, or freeze to death.
As the economic division between the two Germanys grew worse, the exodus of East Germans crossing to the west began to grow until in the summer of 1961, when some 2,000 people crossed each day. A total of 4 million people fled between 1945 and August 13, 1961, the day when the East Germans and the Russians horrified the world by erecting the Berlin Wall.
Thousands of tons of vitally needed coal and food supplies are stalled by the Russian blockade of Berlin. The Cold War between East and West is on.
The phrase Iron Curtain became a physical reality.
Even the policemen, Eastern police shocked. Eastern Army was shocked. Those poor boys didn't know what they should think of this. And of course, lots of tears, you know, lots of tears. This is the end of our wonderful city.
Premier Nikita Khrushchev said of the wall, rest will stand there like dumb sheep. Berlin Mayor Willy Brandt pleaded with American, British, and French generals who governed Berlin to do something. They did nothing. But if America could not act, it could speak. An American president visiting the wall in 1963 to demonstrate unity with the German people.
I take pride in the word, Ich bin ein Berliner.
The wall became more than just a symbol of Cold War antagonism. It extracted a terrible human toll, separating families, friends, and school chums. Many Germans, though, refused to live inside their wall prison. In the early 1960s, escaping was as simple as crossing the street. But then the East German government turned the barbed wire to concrete, added floodlights, dogs, and a so-called death strip where guards